Hello, art lovers. We are here at Michael and Sumati Colpitts studio in Sedona, Arizona. I want to welcome Michael and Sumati to the gallery. They've been with me now almost a year, and they're getting ready to do their first solo show with us in the gallery. Yay. We're going to be featuring, geez, at least 40 pieces, I would say. Yeah. And your career has spanned over 20 years, and I know you guys
Mine is 20, but he's been doing it like almost 45 years.
Yeah, right. And it's a very interesting story. I love hearing how you got into doing art. And for those who haven't got a chance to see the work, they build the most amazing lifelike ceramic animals. And we'll pan around here in a minute and show you a few of the pieces. But I've actually been begging and pleading with these two to be in my gallery for probably 5 or 6 years, if not longer. And we're so happy to have them. And just tell us a little background about how you guys got into doing maybe this particular art and what you did even before you did this kind of stuff.
Well, we'll start with Michael because he's been doing it the longest.
So let me ask you real quick though. You were a painter. Were you a painter before you became a sculptor, or vice versa?
No.
All right, I'll shut up and let you tell me the story.
Well, when I was in college, I decided to take a ceramic course because of my senior year. So there I was learning how. Everybody was going to the football games, and I was sitting there learning how to throw a pot on the wheel. But I got hooked into the clay work.
Wow. But
then I had to go in the military, and I spent 6 years
as a pilot.
Really?
And I was a pilot on a 4-engine refueling tanker, and then when I got out of the military, which was 6 years, I went to work for TWA and was flying out of LaGuardia Airport.
Wow.
But I was living in Connecticut. And a friend of mine had a mill, and we built the kiln because it was in my blood.
Wow.
You know? So then I started doing clay work, you know.
But then he got furloughed, and then so he moved to Ibiza, Spain.
Okay.
Little island.
Next to Mallorca.
And he, got it together to create a ceramic studio there, and so he started doing that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was living on the end of a dirt road in an 8-room house, no running water or electricity.
Wow.
And it was fantastic. And then TWA finally called me back to work, and I'm living on the end of this dirt road with a view of the old walled city and the Mediterranean behind it, working in clay full time. I had a one-man show in Barcelona, and I was doing a show in Ibiza too.
Wow.
But it was really a learning process, and I loved it because I was, TWA called me back to work, and I said, no thanks.
So where are you originally from?
Boston area.
Boston.
Yeah.
And you?
I grew up in the Chicago area.
In the Chicago area, okay.
Yeah, Evanston, but I was born in Taiwan.
Okay. So how did you two meet?
Well, we're meditators.
Okay.
And we have the same meditation teacher.
Okay.
And we first met in, we first met in Oregon, right? Well, I knew of you in Oregon, but we met in India.
Wow.
Yeah, in an
South
ashram.
of Bombay,
in the
ashram.
And he had started a little clay kind of department. They were making pottery, very rustic.
And we were selling pieces.
They had to make their own clay. I mean, like, who does that?
Wow.
So,
we were selling pieces in the gift shop.
Yeah.
But we were both working in clay.
That's when we first met.
That's where we first
were
met. In separate relationships.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
And then 12 years later.
Then 12 years, it took you guys 12
After.
years?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
12 years later, I came here. He was already here. And
here meaning to Sedona?
Here in Sedona.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was a meditation school here in Sedona. And, I, at that time, was cooking for a vegetarian restaurant.
Okay.
So we were both like complaining to our friends, oh my God, it's so much hard work. And he was saying, oh my God, it's so hard to do this work and go to shows. And they looked at us and said, you two should work together. And we're like, oh no, no. We had just gotten together, right? We're thinking, that is the death of a relationship. And they said, well, we'll help you, you know? So that's how it kind of started.
Wow.
And before that, I had never done sculpture.
Wow.
I'd only done pottery, like mostly hand built and a little wheel thrown.
Wow.
But yeah, so I remember when we first got together, and this was before we decided to work together, he gave me a wad of black clay and he said, here, make a bear. And I was like, what? Really? You want me to make a bear? I was like, okay. So I took this wad and I went, and I gave it back to him in 5 minutes and said, there. And he was
we
like,
both stood back.
He looked at it and went, okay.
We both
It was
stood back and
horrible.
looked at it. It was awful.
It was like a kindergartner.
Oh my God.
Well,
And it
you
took
know,
me, basically, it took me 15 years to be able to sculpt what I see.
wow.
My first ones, I mean, they were not even close. They had the gist and the spirit of the animal, but they were not very realistic.
We lost one. I was
He's
coming over to
bringing
show us some clay.
Yeah.
And what's amazing to me is that we make all this stuff that we make is handmade of this clay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where is this clay from? Is this a special type of clay, or
Well,
is it
this
just your basic?
Yeah, I use mostly a paper clay that I special order from California. So
Okay.
I buy it by the ton.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so when you said it took you 15 years, were you continuously building these kind of things, or
yes.
just experimenting and then it just
Yeah.
happened?
I was working every day making, you know, my frogs were not at all like that. They looked like in fact, it's interesting because I go to different places, like where I've given them as gifts sometimes, and I look and I went, oh.
That's an older piece. I think every artist says that.
Yeah.
I'd like to just say one thing, because it's taken her a long time to get the gestures right so that they engage with you. And so that's what's so nice about it, that they make you feel good because you can relate to them. They're looking up at you, and we have glass eyes in, so that really makes them come alive, and it's very special.
They're adorable. I don't think there's a person that's ever come in the gallery and been like, these aren't amazing. You know, every person that sees them is just like, they're phenomenal. And I even collect them. I love the work. Believe me, I want more. So, you know, we're getting ready for our 4th Friday Art Walk. It is going to open a week from tomorrow, which puts it, I think, at the 23rd, if I'm correct. I don't have my calendar in front of me. But yes, I believe it's Friday the 23rd in the gallery from 5 to 8. You can meet these wonderful folks, have a little food and drink, hobnob with all of us crazy artists, and get to see the work in person. I'm going to stop this for a minute, and then I'll come back with me holding it, and we'll look at some of the pieces. We'll talk about them, because what really blows my mind is that these can go inside or outside. They're a super high fire, right? Aren't they like a cone?
Cone 10.
Highest
cone you can go.
2,300
And everything shrinks 15% in that firing, and what that does is it makes everything watertight, and it fires the colors in, so I don't paint afterwards, so there's nothing to fade. I have things outside in my space outside for over 20 years.
Wow.
And it hasn't changed.
Those little guys that are out in the front?
Yeah.
Wow, how cool
In
is
the
that?
back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to take a little smooth of a break. Oh, good day. And be right back.
Ask us questions.
I am going to ask you questions, and we are back, and I'm asking right now. So we're here to look at some of the works, and these are coming into the gallery. So if you guys are interested in anything you see, these will be available ASAP. But obviously, tons of work, tons of time, obviously immense amounts of talent. Tell me a little bit about the process, because I know there's so many stages that you guys go through.
Yeah.
So,
you know, for example, you know, when we're making this, I'm just basically taking wads of clay and pinching to form the walls. And I can only go up about like 4 inches at a time. Then I have to put a little thing of plastic on the top and let it dry slowly. So then I can continue when it's leather hard, because I've learned from experience where I went too fast that it slumps. So I've, you know, added things, I've added arms, and I've put the head on, and then the next day I come down to the studio, and a frog that's gone like this, I come the next day and it's like this.
Oh, man.
So I take my time.
And all the pieces are hollow. They have to be hollow. They
Yeah.
can't be solid.
Yeah.
Sure. And even with it pinched like that, do you guys ever have problems with like things blowing up because there's air pockets or any of that kind of
We
stuff?
used to, but not
We
anymore.
used to, but I'm really good at, you know,
Kneading the
pinning
clay.
And, yeah. So,
Using a needle tool to
yeah,
get
and
all
also the
the air
way he
out.
fires now, because we go so slow. So anyway, the first part of the making, like for this guy, takes me 2 weeks of making. But then it's 2 weeks of drying. Then it goes in my outsides, I have an electric kiln, and it's a 20-hour firing to go to 1800 degrees.
Wow.
And
We go
that,
very slowly.
going so slow, helps not getting cracks.
Wow.
And then when it comes out, it's kind of like chalky looking, but it's still porous. And so then I put, you know, stains, and I wipe it off, and it just goes in the recessed areas. And then I put the different glazes on it, each piece.
Here's a piece that's been, this was the clay, and here's the piece that has glazes that have been put on it. Now that's going to all change color in the firing.
Nice. So that's what makes it all kind of shiny is
Yeah,
once
that's
it's
right.
fired and gives you
Yes.
that look.
And then, you know, we will load. It takes us a whole day just to load the kiln. And then he fires, and it takes him, well, he starts at night.
Wow.
And then he finishes the next day at 1, and he's like tweaking it every half hour. And we go to 2300 degrees, so
Wow.
everything shrinks 15%.
That's
Doesn't
pretty
sound
amazing.
like a lot, but it is, trust me.
So what's your favorite animal to make?
Well, I love making, let me think.
I know which one I like, and that's that lion up there.
He was
That lion is really a challenge, but it's really nice to do. I love giving it an expression that makes you feel good when you.
And these pieces over here are also just yours as well, right, Michael?
Yeah, the
Yes.
figurative is all his.
I used to live across from
North Africa.
North Africa, and that's where the nomadic people lived, and they would cover themselves to protect themselves from the blowing sand.
Wow.
So I started using the clay like fabric.
Neat. You're both so incredible. I'm always, it's like coming into a little art Disneyland when you get to come over to your studio and see all this work. So I'm very thankful to have you both. I really look forward to the show this coming Friday.
Yes.
Anybody who's watching this, come on in. It's a rarity to have them in the gallery. So we're putting them up for the night and making them hang out with us.
Yes.
Come and see us 5 to 8 next week on the 23rd. This is Ian Russell over and out with Michael and Sumati Colpitts. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Ian.